is a 1 gallon water sprayer. Now this water sprayer is going to be the key to our foundational of training. The next thing we're going to get is a bottle of distilled or spring water. It doesn't matter what kind of water we use, but we want it to be untreated and have no chemicals in it that could interfere with scent. So obviously spring or distilled water is going to be our first route. You will also get a couple of really cool items. Now these items are from Dog Bone. Jeremy Moore is by far one of the best dog trainers when it comes to game recovery or shed hunting. So these training materials are from his company. You get a square of real deer hide, and you also get a bottle of concentrated blood scent. Now what we will do is we will soak that hide into the gallon of water for 4 to 5 hours. This will let that scent really infuse with the water. Getting a gallon of water and infusing it with deer hide and concentrated deer, that gallon of water is not just one deer, it is hundreds and hundreds of wounded deer. So it's going to make it really easy for that dog to track that down. So that's going to be our foundation of training. First thing we're going to work on is called nose down behavior. Nose down behavior is not tracking or trailing per se, it's just teaching the dog to rely on his nose and less on his eyes. Now when you watch a dog tracking, say in Schutzen or AKC or something like that, they like to look at vegetation. A lot of times they cheat. They're not looking, or they're not smelling with their nose, they're actually looking for footprints, and they fake tracking. What we want to do is create nose down behavior, and it's just exactly what it sounds. We teach the dog to keep his nose down on the ground and smelling for that. Now as we progress in training, we will give the dog more freedom to rely, if he can't smell anything, to use his eyes or something for clues to go to the next step. Now that's as the dog progresses and understands tracking and trailing a little bit more. So the first thing we do is work on nose down behavior, and that's what that 1 gallon sprayer of scent is to create something for the dog to smell. Now here you see me laying down a serpentine spray. Now the spray is only a few inches wide, and it's a hot day and it's on concrete, so I want to lay down heavy spray because it's going to evaporate. But remember that the scent is infused with that, and because of that it's going to lay there longer even if it does evaporate. So what I'm doing is I'm laying a serpentine track down, and then about every 4 to 6 inches I'm laying down biljack. Now biljack is a frozen dog food that I love for tracking because during the beginning I can wad up in a ball where it's easy to see, and then as we progress I can actually flatten it, you know, like the size of like a quarter, where it's harder to see but it's still there. Now all I'm doing here is laying the treats down to create nose down behavior. Now what that means is the dog is going to walk up, and every few inches it's going to see food, so it's going to encourage him to keep his nose down. Now this isn't scent tracking. It has nothing to do with scent, trailing, tracking, nothing. All it's doing is enforcing him to keep his nose down to the ground, and it's reinforcing him every time he gets a treat. So that's the good thing about this part, is he's getting reinforced every time he gets a treat. Therefore it creates that nose down behavior, and since that scent track does have some scent on it, it's also conditioning them to that scent as well. So I'm going to go ahead and quicken this video up here and go ahead and get the dog out so you can actually see. Now I start walking up and I give him a track command, and notice how he kind of speeds up a little bit, but he loses it here. This means I have the treats too far apart, that next time I lay it down I need to bring them closer together. So I put him back on the track, which in this case, it would be a blood trail. Then he gets the track, but notice how he is following that line because of the scent and the reward that he's getting. So he's pulling along and he's actually getting that track. Now it's short track on here, and then we do it again. So now you see that I put the treats a little bit closer, and look how much better he does. He comes in, keeps his nose down to the scent, and goes through and actually gets those treats, and he moves forward until he reaches the end. Now he does skip over some, And what I'll do usually is I'll make them do the track again. But this is what we do week 1 over and over and over again, is reinforcing that nose down behavior. So next week we'll go ahead and start talking a little bit about laying actual tracks down.